Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Live from the 48th Annual State Run of the Lone Star Street Rod Association at Hewlett Park in Granbury, Texas. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we're going to have Tammy Dooley stop by, we think. Well, at least she's scheduled to be here with us. Conrad's going to have the In Wheel Time Car Clinic, and we're going to get to Jeff's 5 American cars not sold in the USA, along with some of the headlines making news this week. That's automotive news. We don't care about anything else. This is a car show, baby. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Dziekan, our chief engineer, bottle washer, and a rare man in the world of broadcast engineering, David Ainsley.
Soon to be entered into the Hall of Fame with you, Don.
Okay, well, I'll vote for him. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Now that the court restrictions are off of him, he can do that.
Yeah, court restrictions. That's right.
And that's why we're here, because everyone paid up their tickets and their warrants are invalid.
Who is our guest there, Mr. Mars?
You've heard about him. This is the legend, the myth, Mr. Don Goodnight and his 32 Ford.
Don Goodnight.
This is number 5.
On the roll of the Lone Star Street Rod Association. So what's it like to be involved with this bunch of hoodlums out here for 48 years?
The villains.
Is it good?
Well, I had to take a break in there, to settle my nerves.
Is that what it was? Yeah, it probably had a family thing going on at a time or two.
And a bottle of Jack Daniels.
It's kind of been a lifelong thing.
Yep.
That 32 Ford right there, I saw a magazine cover.
Move that microphone a little bit closer to your mouth. Yeah.
Microphone cover there back in around 1971.
Yeah.
Rod and Custom magazine.
Sure.
And it had the old McMullen Roadster on it. And I just kept looking at that car. And I've always wanted a 32 Highboy Roadster. And finally able to get one here a few years ago.
So did you buy it? Is that the way you bought it?
This one I bought, yes.
Yep. And what did you have prior to this?
Well, I've got a 35 Chevrolet right now that I bought also. Now, when I was young and full of energy, I built Model A's.
Okay.
Street rods. And
you hot rodded Model A's.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. He kind of dismisses it like, yeah. Well,
the first one I built didn't have air conditioning in it, and within a year or two, I said the next one I build is going to have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Of course, then I turn around, I've got a Roadster now that doesn't have air conditioning. So.
Doesn't need it, though.
What's the difference between a high boy and a low boy?
Well, a high boy, right below that body line there, there's that's your frame.
Yep.
And a high boy, they basically say, well, the body stays at the same height. Theoretically, you could go over there and bolt 32 fenders and everything onto it. Where a low boy, they actually channel the inside of the body where it goes down.
Drop it on the frame.
Drop it on the frame.
Gotcha.
Lowers it several inches.
But that seems to me that could be problematic because the thing sits pretty low just as it is right there.
Well, yeah, the front axle's about 3 inches off the ground on this one. So it does set pretty low. Suspension. All it does is really lower the body, makes it more aerodynamic.
So is it got a transverse leaf spring in the front of it?
It does. It's got the original style 32 Ford spring in the front.
Yep. How does that drive?
Well,
how does it handle around the corner with that transverse leaf spring?
It actually drives and handles pretty good. Of course, when you've got that set up on the front of an old Ford, and they used that setup up even through the dual I-beams up into the early 50s.
50s, yes.
But it actually drives pretty good. Now, it rides kind of like a buggy.
Gotcha.
So
it's a little stiff.
It's a little stiff, and it's not a comfort ride. yeah,
a little bouncy. Now, what about the suspension in the back of it?
It's got coil-over springs in the back
gotcha.
On a Ford 9-inch rear.
So you're able to adjust those.
You can adjust them. But
Does
again,
it make any difference? Not really.
It still rides like a buggy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's more about style than comfort.
That's the thing about a 32 Highboy, with the front end all exposed and everything. Actually, that front end is a Pete and Jake's. You know, it's a all chrome front end. So, you know, a full fender car, you can go to the Mustang 2 type front ends and everything and get a lot better ride. But that type car, you really need to stick with the traditional type front end.
Absolutely. And what kind of motor you got in there?
It's a Chevrolet 350.
A Chevy 350. And you had no trouble buying a Chevrolet motor in a Ford car?
No, I've used both engines in cars, and I'm just, like most hot rodders, are a little more familiar with the small block Chevrolet.
Sure.
And the availability of parts are far greater than they are.
A lot more aftermarket dress-up parts and everything.
And more dependable, you think? Not necessarily?
Probably not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's just kind of what you prefer.
So you bought it with the Chevy engine in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This car I actually bought just pretty much as it sits.
Well, that's beautiful. I wouldn't touch it. Would you ever consider putting a Ford motor in it just to have a Ford motor in it?
No, I'm getting too old to mess with stuff like that.
We can relate to that, I promise you.
That's like here several years ago, I didn't have an old car at all at the time. I didn't get an old car. And told my wife, I said, well, I'm not gonna go buy one and build it from the ground up. I said, I might not get it finished before I die. I said, I'm gonna buy something
close to finished.
Close to finished.
You wouldn't get offended if I asked you how old you are.
I'm 71.
Okay.
Not that old yet, but
No.
I'm going downhill fast.
No, you're not. No, you're not at all. At all.
Some days it feels like it.
So you have other cars as well.
The only other car I've got now is a 35 Chevrolet.
35 Chevrolet. What do you use to go back and forth to the grocery store?
My pickup.
Your pickup. And what is that?
I got a Toyota Tundra pickup.
Do you?
Built in Texas.
Built in Texas.
Yeah. And you're happy with that?
Yeah. It's man.
It's air conditioned. It rides nice.
There you go.
It's got all the pleasures.
Dependable as heck, you know. The old car, I drive them moderately, but they're it is hard to maintain an old car and drive it every day.
Oh, what?
You probably heard the name Scott Ingram.
Yes.
Scott was one of the original 7 Lone Star guys, and Scott had a 32 Ford Coupe that I know for a pretty long time. I think that was his everyday driver.
Oh wow!
Wow.
And I had an old. He had several different Ford engines. He always had a Ford engine in it. But you'd see Scott's old orange 32 going around, and that most of the time it'd be kind of dirty, because he's driving it every day.
Yeah.
Now, does he live in the same city as you?
No, he lives in. Well, he used to live in Austin. He's moved kind of out in the country now.
And how about you? Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Temple.
Temple,
pretty much all my life.
Uh-huh.
I actually still live in the Temple city limits right now, but I've got a Belton address. Temple and Belton have kind of just grown together.
Yep. Well, George Skelton is a Temple guy. Good friend of ours. I went to grade school and high school with him, and he's in Temple, and he's not a car guy at all, but he is a character deluxe. He needs to be in a car club. Yeah. He would be the entertainment.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. There's that. So that's a custom top on there because it's obviously been chopped.
Right.
And I can only imagine, and I know you can too since you're a car builder, trying to make the bows to get the top to go up and down on a custom.
Well, the one thing about that top, it doesn't go up and down.
It doesn't.
It
comes off?
It's built like the old folding top,
yeah.
but it actually, you just unbolt it and take it off.
Gotcha. Do you ever do that?
Occasionally.
Yeah, because it's a total pain, I would imagine.
If you look at me without this cap on, there's not a lot of
protection from the sun.
I got
sun
you.
protection.
I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you.
And this sun gets pretty hot on a bare head.
Yes, it does.
Even riding down the road in the car.
It's got air conditioning.
Yeah, it's that little flap that opens up there on the cowl there.
Oh, really?
So
this one does not have air conditioning.
No, the 35 Chevrolet's got it, but this one, it's got the 100-mile-an-hour air conditioning where you open the vent.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Now, did you trailer that car here?
This one I did today.
You did?
I've got a knee that's really bothering me. It really bothers me to get it on the accelerator in that car. So I trailered it today. But matter of fact, that's the first time I've trailered it to a car show anywhere.
Is it an enclosed trailer?
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, because I had a show car one time that I trailered on the back of a car carrier, and it snowed and rained on the highway. And you know what that does. That is not good.
It's not good, no. But typically, when I was young, we drove everywhere. Everything. The first car I ever built was a 1930 Model A Coupe. And I literally got it on the road. And from Temple, the furthest I'd ever driven it was Waco and back. And we had several guys there around town. Well, let's go. The NSRA Nationals was in Tulsa that year.
Yeah, that's a good haul.
Let's go to Tulsa. And I was about 21 years old. Just got it on the road, no paint. Barely had gotten the windows
Fearless
in it.
at 21.
Yeah, let's go. So I jumped in that car. Never had been more than 30 miles away from home. Took off, went to Tulsa. So,
And you didn't get arrested? Yeah. Not that time?
No, I've never been arrested.
Well, that's good.
Got a few tickets, but
just a few.
Yeah.
Well, if you keep hanging out with us today, your options are good.
I wasn't in the wrong. I got one speeding ticket that I deserved. The rest of them were just
nothing. Do you ever show that car?
Just car shows, I guess, or
you don't go to like Autorama, the Dallas big indoor.
No, none of the big indoor shows.
Do you ever go personally to any of those shows?
I have been. I actually haven't been to like Dallas Autorama and stuff like. I haven't been to one of those in a pretty long time.
Well, it's changed a lot.
Oh yeah,
as you can imagine.
Oh, everything's changed. When I was 50 years ago, when I got into street rodding. Of course, street rods were a big deal, and almost everything then was called rod runs, and they would typically be 2 days. Some of them, like when we started Lone Star Run, it was 3 days. There were a few others that were 3 days, but people stayed in motels or camped. Camping was popular, and now, it's all the bulk of the car show deal nowadays is the little 1-day show from
cruise-ins
9 to 3.
Sure.
Yeah, kind of like cruise-ins.
Well, I have to tell you that I was fortunate enough for the second year in a row to go on the Hot Rod Tour of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Are you familiar with that, or you've probably seen posts about it?
I've seen posts, yeah.
Yeah, it starts down in Victoria, and then we wind our way up here, as a matter of fact. And great fun, lots of fun. Quite a few cars like yours, not like yours, but similar, older cars, hot rods, and very popular, and everybody has such a good time. And as you know, in this sport, this hobby, whatever you want to call it, that's really the draw, is the camaraderie and looking at everybody's car and what they've done to it. Hey, man, did you see the new valve cover gaskets that I put on since the last time I saw you? That kind of stuff.
One thing about it, these car people, there's no strangers.
No, there's not.
You pull up and park to somebody you've never seen before in your life, where you just start up a conversation.
Absolutely.
With them.
And the cars are ever evolving over time as well.
Oh, yeah.
The same person may own the same car, and over 10 years it may go through a couple of evolutions.
Oh, exactly. And plus, 50 years ago, you wouldn't believe how many of these old cars were sitting around
rotting in a field.
Well, everywhere, if you
were.
if you wanted to buy a Model A or anything, you got out and drove through the country, you'd find them.
Sure.
Now, the old cars are getting really hard to find.
And if you find them, usually they're really expensive.
Now, when you're here at the show, do you have the same spot that you show your vehicle in on the lawn every year, or do you move it around? Because I noticed from last year that we were here, some of these look very familiar in the same spots.
Some people try to get here and, put up their
claim the same area.
Yep. They kind of stake out an area, like on Friday evening.
Looking for the shade.
Yeah, looking for that's the first spot that fills up over here by the pine trees.
The trees. Yeah. Well,
some people move around. It's just whatever.
Well, Don Goodnight, it is a pleasure and an honor to have you here on the show with us today. One of the original members of the Lone Star Street Rod Association, and we're glad you're with us. And beautiful car, and we salute you, sir.
Well, I'm not that active now, but 50 years ago, it was something seeing it. Have you ever heard of the Central Texas Street Rod Association?
I have not heard, but I'm sure that they exist.
No,
they don't exist anymore.
But that was kind of the original deal for the people that got the Lone Star Street Rod Association.
It was a catalyst for it.
It was catalyst. All the people lived up and down I-35.
Sure.
And we'd been talking about forming a Central Texas Street Rod Association between the clubs along I-35. Well, we got together, and I think Scott and George Allen from Austin, they said, why don't we just limit it to Central Texas? Why don't we make it the entire state? So that day we kept, okay. So we come up with the Lone Star Street Rod Association, and it blossomed from there. We set up a meeting at the Capitol grounds in Austin, I think 2 or 3 weeks after that.
How many different clubs now are part of the Lone Star Street Rod Association?
Now? I have no clue.
No.
You don't see as many clubs now as you used to.
Right.
Clubs were a big deal.
Yes, they
50
were.
years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's still a lot of clubs around, but it's a little more loosely tied. I know there in Central Texas, we do an email. It's kind of like an email club.
Yep.
There's no club rules, no officers or anything. We just send out emails to keep people up to date
on what's going on where the events are.
Exactly.
Well, we would invite you to follow us on Facebook and any other form that you see, and you'll be hearing yourself sometime this week. Mr. Mars does all of our podcasts, and so all of that is part of what we do.
I don't know if I want to hear myself on the radio.
I advise against it.
Don listens to himself all the time.
Yeah, no. Don Goodnight, thank you very much, sir.
I listen to my wife.
Oh, there you go.
I'm second on that list.
All
right. Good talking to you guys.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Beautiful
you very much. Hey, you're on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Thanks for riding with us today. Again, broadcasting from the Lone Star Street Rod Association State Run here at the Hewlett Park in Granbury, Texas. Also, like to remind you that we'd love to hear from you. All you have to do is just shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now, Jeff is going to do the American cars not sold in the USA.
I got to reload it, I think.
Oh, you do?
Wait, no, I got it.
You got it?
I think I do.
Okay,
Jeff's
well,
got to
that's
get
good.
loaded.
He's got, and we're good about that.
Okay, so this is, there's a lot. There's like 30, 35 different models, but they're all from the same manufacturer, Chevy, Ford, Dodge. So these are a few of these vehicles that are built. Let me see if I can't get this up going here. There you are. That the first one we have here is a Dodge GTX V8. Chrysler Corporation was pretty active in Argentina, and it produced several models aimed directly to the local market. But the most significant model and luxurious model offered was the Dodge GT. It's a Dart-based sedan with better equipment by the famous 225 slant 6 engine.
I did not know that.
Yep. The car was introduced in 68, but in 70, Chrysler Argentina decided to build the proper muscle version of this vehicle, and it was the Dodge GTX.
And they put a Hemi in it.
Well, this one had a 318 V8, which delivered 212 horsepower, or the 230 horsepower, depending on the year model that they were producing. So that's one for the Argentina flag. Let's see, we're going to this one here. This rascal is a Ford RS200. Back in the mid-'80s, motorsports were all about rallying and famous, terrifyingly dangerous Group Bs.
Group B.
Group B was a part of the World Rally Championship, which featured factory prototypes loosely based on production cars with insane turbocharged engines and all-wheel drive systems.
Very loosely based.
This brought many exciting and fast road cars, since the manufacturers are obligated to produce a number of the road vehicles for racing. So that's a pretty good-looking little Ford hot rod there. This next one is a good fancy of mine. This is the Chevrolet Opala SS, not Opal. The Opala SS is a typical example
Very close
of
to
a
Oprah.
Brazilian muscle car Chevy produced in the height of the
Brazilian.
muscle car craze. They introduced this handsome fastback coupe
Just
in
a thin little
'69.
line.
This came with a wide range of formal body stylings, the Chevrolet's main and mid-model sizes for the Brazilian market.
And a free can of wax.
However, the name Opala was controversial because customers thought it represented a mix between the names of Opel and Impala. So that's why they were a little confused. Although not much today's standards, it was given the Opala SS decent performance. Even with its success on the tracks, it did win many races in the Brazilian racing circuit. So there was
Sure
one
it
of
did.
those. Yep, it did. Now this one's pretty neat.
And they worked in the Willy Wonka factory, the
This-
Opalas.
This is a Ford Fairmont GT introduced in 1970. The Fairmont was a full-size sedan designed and constructed by Ford Australia. Their division sold mainly to the South African division. It was basically a version of the Australian Ford Falcon XY. The Falcon GT was one of the first and most popular Australian muscle cars, so South African dealers wanted one of their own. That's how the Fairmont GT came to be. Powered by Ford's 351 V8 engine, 300 horsepower, making it one of the fastest and most powerful cars in South Africa. The 0 to 60 was pretty respectable at 7.2, and the Fairmont GT was expensive and rare. At the time, they only built 1,824 of these rascals. So there's not many in the production. This one is one of my favorites as well. This is the Chevrolet Forenza Can-Am. One of the craziest, rarest Chevrolet muscle cars is
Forenza.
the Forenza Can-Am. Got my F's and my C's mixed up. Chevy introduced this in '73 based on the Forenza Can-Am, a two-door sedan designed from England, but they built it again in South Africa, Mike, under the Chevrolet badge. Best thing about it, it had a 5-liter Chevy V8 straight out of a Z28 Camaro. Performance heads, close to 400 horsepower. Lightweight body, 5.4 seconds in the 0 to 60. Acceleration figures close to a Ferrari and a Chevrolet. Today, the survivors of this are very, very expensive. So there you have the 5. Built, but not sold in America.
All right. I'm going to move the car clinic to the next hour, Conrad,
Alrighty.
if that's okay with you.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. Because I have to get in some
Hey,
of
we
the...
got to get up to date.
Pardon me?
We got to get up to date.
We got to get up to date on the news.
On the news.
On the news. You ready? Wow. Is that a 64 Impala?
I don't
Yeah,
know, but I
looks
want
like
it.
What did you
Got
say,
a good
Conrad?
yeah, it looks like it's got a good rumble to it.
You ever have problems getting an inspection sticker?
No. Should I?
No,
I mean,
there's a couple of shops that hand them out pretty easy.
Getting the car to pass inspection. Let me
Yes,
put it that way.
That could be an issue.
Okay. Well, you don't have to worry about it after next year. Okay? Boy, there's a lot of exhaust going on right now, right here.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this rumble and why that rumble sounds like
In
that.
2025, state inspection stickers will be replaced by an annual $7.50 fee, the same as the current inspection fee, but without the need to actually take your car, for most, into the shop. Drivers in new vehicles that have not previously been registered will pay $16.75 upon registration. That money will benefit the Texas Mobility Fund. You got to be kidding me. Some law enforcement officials opposed the bill in front of the State Senate Affairs Committee during the legislative session, arguing annual inspections protect the public from dangerous vehicles.
Oh, no.
Owners of auto shops have expressed concerns the lack of an annual requirement would close their businesses. Yes, some it would.
Well, and they've all made investments in the equipment to do state inspections, and now that's all going to be flushed down the toilet.
Texans living in the most populated counties, however, will still have to appear annually for an emissions test.
Right.
The 17 counties that require emissions inspections include those surrounding the major metro areas other than San Antonio. Harris, Fort Bend, Brazoria, Montgomery, Galveston, among others, are the counties that will still have to take
And
your
pretty
car.
much all they do is plug into your
OBD.
computer communication
OB1
plug,
Kenobi
yeah.
plug. I want to kind of get it to another story here. I've got several, and I want to make sure that I get this.
Yeah,
oh,
it's all about you, Don.
it is. It's always all about me. Thank you.
We
Conrad.
recognize that.
I know. Well, once the center of American life, AM radio stands in the middle of a tussle between automakers who want it gone and federal lawmakers who say it's key for emergency alerts during catastrophes.
Because so many people listen to it.
BMW, Mazda, Polestar, Rivian, Tesla, Volkswagen, and Volvo do not offer broadcast AM radio in their electric vehicles, citing the EV's motor's electromagnetic interference with the AM system and a resulting ticking sound.
Oh.
About a third of all new EV models available for purchase in the U.S. in 23 are not equipped with AM tuners, according to SBD Automotive, a global automotive technology research firm. You know how much a tuner adds, an AM tuner adds to the price of a car? $20 to $30.
I was going to say 40.
Could you not just do that? But you know, I will say this, that with the internet, your telephone, and the Bluetooth in older cars that streaming. You need to put your headset on if you're going to talk.
Leaving. He's got a date.
You leaving?
Yeah.
You going somewhere? No, we don't want to know about that. But at any rate, they're still working on it. There's no decision been made. But guess what? I think that the government. I think that the government is going to win, at least temporarily, in keeping the AM radio. Yeah, I'm not talking to you. You don't have a microphone on. So we are going to take a quick break, and we are going to be back at the Lone Star Street Rod Association here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Network. Stay with us, won't you?
Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.